In this MasterThatGear video, we're going to be looking at a new amp I just got recently, and that's the Blackstar HT-5RH. Now this is an updated version of the hugely popular HT5 amp, which I tried actually a couple of years ago in Scales Music here in Edinburgh. I was kind of looking for a wee amp at the time, and I had a little short one, and I was really quite impressed with it, but it was only 5 watts, so it would have been struggling kind of gigging with it. But I'd always had a kind of inkling for one if the chance ever arose. And what they've done this year is they've updated that original amp. What they've effectively done is added a tone control to the clean channel and added a digital reverb to it, hence the kind of R. They've also put a little bit of tweaks in the emulated output and all that sort of stuff, but I'll talk about that. But the amp itself, I mean, this amp I got from Anderton's Music, and I'm really quite impressed with the build quality on it, considering how economical it is. These corners I thought were actually plastic, but the actual metal corners there, and the build quality is really, really high. This is all nice and lovely Tolex. There's a great logo as well. I approve of the black and white logo. But if you see our front panel here, we have our power switch and a standby switch. We have our reverb controls, that's one of the new additions. Then we've got our EQ section. Then we have our controls for the overdrive channel. So you've got master volume for that and a control of the gain. And in the clean channel, you've basically got a volume control for that, and then this new tone control that I was talking about. On the rear panel, we have an input for hooking up an MP3 player, like an iPod or something. So you could play songs or backing tracks through it and have a little jam along with it. We also have our input for a foot switch. And the foot switch is quite cool actually. It's just a single little switch. And it's got an LED on it though, so you know when you've got your overdrive channel on, which is really, really handy. We also have our effects loop on the back. And we also have our emulated output, which I'll talk about later. And then we have our outputs for hooking up to cabs. You've got your 16 ohm and 8 ohm options as usual there. You've got a preamp valve there and a valve for the power section with some solid state rectification in it as well. So you kind of get a blend of the worlds there, but you get some really, really nice kind of valve tones, which we'll hear in a second. Now what I've got here recording setup wise is I have this going through the cabinet in my Legacy, which is a 2x12 cab with vintage 30 speakers in it. And I've just got an SM58 mic just pointed at the speaker. So let's have a listen to what it sounds like. So let's have a listen to this clean channel first of all. What I've got here is the tone control, this new tone control, set up at 12 o'clock, and the volume is about a quarter actually. So this is what it sounds like in a bridge humbucker. Got quite a nice sounding clean there. Let's roll the tone all the way off. This is what it sounds like. It's nice, so you don't lose a little bit of that top end. You still got it there. If I go to the other extreme with the tone all the way up full, so it sounds like. So you can hear a little bit more kind of top end in there. Now I've actually got the reverb on just a little touch here, it's about a kind of quarter. But if I turn the reverb up to, go to 12 o'clock with the reverb, I'll turn that tone back down. You have this, that kind of reverb sound there. With the reverb up full, it's pretty full on, that's what it sounds like. And it's a digital reverb you've got on this, so it's a really nice kind of lush sound to it. So let's have a listen to the overdrive channel now, which is the main feature of this amp, I suppose. Now with this, with the clean channel, you've just got the volume and the clean. When you go to the overdrive channel though, you've got your volume and your gain control there, but you've got the whole EQ section in here now, as well as this infinite shape feature, ISF, which we'll talk about. So what I've got here is I've just set everything at 12 o'clock, so the EQ is all set at 12 o'clock, and I'll set the overdrive for 12 o'clock as well. The volume in this is about a quarter as well. So this is what it sounds like with the bridge humbucker. So you've got quite a lot of gain there, even with it at 12 o'clock. Now let's have a little play around with the EQ here. So I'll keep that overdrive at 12 o'clock there. Let's try the treble. So with the treble rolled off, this is what it sounds like. So it's quite a muffly sound there. With the treble up full, this is what we get. So we've got a lot more kind of top end there. It's quite an aggressive kind of sound there. Turn that back to 12 o'clock. So this is when the mids rolled all the way off. So you get that usual slightly kind of scoop sound. With the mids up full, so it sounds like. Bit more the sound I prefer anyway, but you can hear there's a little bit more kind of definition there, a little bit more kind of mid-range, funnily enough. Now let's play around with the bass. So the bass, fully off, we get this sound. So you definitely lost a little bit of that body there. With the bass up full, this is what it sounds like. Because I'm running through a 2x12 here with two vintage 30s, you get to hear a lot of that bottom end, which you might not hear if you're using like a 1x12 or maybe the Blackstar cabs themselves. But I've never tried them, so I can't really say. So that's quite, that's quite a full kind of bodied sound there when you get the bass up. But let's have a play around with this ISF feature. So this infinite shape feature is really to do with blending between what Blackstar call a US sound and a UK sound. Now I've got it at 12 o'clock here, so if I keep the EQ and everything at 12 o'clock, keep the gain at 12 o'clock, all the way fully to the left will give me a US sound. And really what this gives is a bit more kind of tighter bass and a little bit more mids. Okay, now if I go fully away to the UK side now, what happens is the mids get tamed a little bit, and we're supposed to get a bit more of a kind of a woodier sound. Okay, so that's quite interesting, and of course what you can do here is you can blend the two. So if you're thinking, well, I want a little bit more mids than that, so you just roll it back a little bit. So say I went to kind of like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock there. A little bit different sound then. So it allows you to kind of blend this kind of sound. This is why Blackstar have been using this tagline, the kind of sound in your head, because you can really muck about with it to try and nail that particular sound. So if you want a kind of boxier, woodier kind of sound, you can probably dial it in. If you want a bit more in your face, an aggressive sound, you could go around to the US. Let's have a play around with this gain control now. As I said, I've been doing all this with the gain about 12 o'clock, so I've set all the EQ to 12 o'clock again. And I'm going to roll the gain off, so I'll get no volume at the moment, but let me just bring it in until I get a little bit again. So that's kind of the crunch kind of sound there, and the gain literally is just almost at 1. Of course, if I was to go full UK here, it would probably give me a very kind of I suppose, old Marshally sound, I suppose. So let's try the gain now at about a quarter, and I'll go back to 12 o'clock here. Even though at a quarter, I get quite a bit of gain now. Almost kind of slightly heavier, kind of classic rock sound, I suppose. You hear what it sounds like, just to give you an idea of the dynamics of this. I'll roll off with the volume a little bit. So it cleans up a little bit there. Which is quite nice, and then of course I can crank it up again. Let's try again. Let's get the gain up into the other side. So I'm about 3/4 now, and as I said, I've still got this ISF set in the middle. So this is the gain at 3/4. Okay, so quite a lot of gain there, and I'm only 3/4 up. Okay, now let's go right up to the top. This is the gain full on. Now this is an interesting thing I found in this amp. Normally some amps, if you go full on with the gain, it just becomes mush and you can't really hear what's going on. But with the gain up full here, it's have a nice kind of sound. It's not descended into just noise. And especially in this sound now, let me try with the volume rolled off actually, just to give you an idea. So I've got that extreme end, volume rolled off. Cleans up a little bit, there's still a little bit of a crunch to it there. But that's because I'm full on gain here. So let's play around with the ISF feature here. So I've got the gain up, full, ISF feature all the way to the US. This is what it gives us. It's tightened up that bass a little bit. Okay, all the way full round to the UK now, so it sounds like. Almost slightly boxier sounding. Okay, so the amp, I mean, it's got, if we go back to three-quarters here, the amp's got quite a range of tones out of it. The ISF feature combined with EQ allows you to really dial in all these kind of different sounds. So, I mean, just to give you an example, I can have, if I put the mids up, I'll keep the bass where it is and then just tweak the treble a little bit. I'm going to come back down, so the thing was about 1 o'clock. Instead I've got the gain there about three-quarter, it would give you more. Maybe tame the trebles a little bit, but that gives me more of a kind of sound I quite like. So there's a lot of gain there, but at the same time it's got the clarity. You know, for picking or riffs or whatever. Of course I can go the extreme end as well. I can whack the mids right off, give a lot more treble, let me edge it a bit more towards the US side, and this is still the gain in three-quarter. A real aggressive kind of sound. So say I want something a bit more bluesy, I'll just bring the gain down a little bit. I'll keep bass where it is, get the treble, sorry the mids, at 2 o'clock there, and I'll roll off the treble a little bit. Put the ISF so it's more UK, I suppose. This is what you get. Or if I'm in a single coil. So let's have a listen to the emulated out. I've got it set up at the moment so it's voiced for a 1x12. So this is what it sounds like on the clean channel. Now if I switch that so it's on a 4x12 voicing, this is what it sounds like. Let's try the overdrive channel now. So this is on the 1x12 emulated output. This is it on the 4x12 emulated output. So that's quite, it's interesting. You could use that. You could also plug into the headphone jack on the back as well. And that's quite handy if you want to do a bit of late night practice or something. Just plug the headphones in, and supposedly you don't actually need to have it hooked up to a cabinet. Normally with a valve amp you want to have a load on it, but I've read Blackstar advised you can do it. You can just plug the headphone into the headphone socket and it'll cut out the kind of speaker section. But if you unplug that headphone you might kind of damage the amp, so maybe it's best is just to have it hooked up to a kind of speaker, I suppose. But it allows you to, if I'm using that emulated out, I can unplug the speaker and have that just purely emulated out for recording, rather than having the amp blaring at 1 in the morning, So the amp is a pretty versatile piece of kit. Nice small package, so it's easy, it's very light if you wanted to take it for jamming, or even actually taken to a rehearsal room. As I said, I've got the volume here at 1/4. I'm not going to try and crank it, but I'm tempted to take it, maybe take it to a small venue and gig it and see what happens. I mean, obviously you could take the emulated out through the PA or something like that, but it's just really for on-stage monitoring, so it'll be interesting to hear how it really competes. There's videos on YouTube where guys are playing with a drum kit next to it, and it is kind of keeping up. But this depends on I suppose, the size of the gig. I mean, it's not going to do a large hall, but if it was like a small pub gig, you never know. But all in all, I'm really quite impressed with it. It's got a lovely kind of clean channel for considering how basic it is, just a volume and a tone control. And the overdrive channel is where it really shines. There's a whole range of stuff you can get out of this, and especially when you're combining the EQ section with this ISF, you can really dial in loads of different sounds. So you can use it in a little metal context, and rock, blues, fusion, instrumental, you name it. It's got a whole wide range of kind of sounds there. So if you can, have a little go one and check them out.